Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Viviana,
And I'm Alex.
and today's podcast will be about our almost 30. It's our 29th anniversary.
29-year anniversary. It's going to be April the 2nd.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So it's a couple days away.
and maybe we can also share a little bit about our anniversary celebration date,
Yeah.
which,
and the controversy behind that.
yep,
And you guys maybe can help us decipher that.
never. But, anyways, so yeah, we were trying to figure out, we have like, different topics that we thought it would be a good idea. And obviously, we want to do one for parenting and now grandparents and, the things that we have gone through. And we've shared in our previous podcast. And the reason why, it's a little different is just that people have been curious on how us, Alex being 14 and myself being 15, getting married and going through now 29 years, how we went through it and how it's been successful, or how we've been managing, being
Hmm.
married, parenting, and now grandparents, and just the whole idea of, us being married so young. And so, like Alex said before we started recording, it's just like the reminiscing of the 29 years.
That was 29 years. And that's one thing that to us, and I guess it's a little bit unfair on our part, right? But we think, um, man, we got married at 14 and 15 and we made it through, right? So when we see people um, not make it and they get divorced, first of all, we feel bad, right, for people that don't stay together, but also think like, man, if we could do it, and anybody could do it, right? But we were talking about that, right? We I watch a lot of TikTok, and I saw a podcast that was talking about compound living, right? Like living in a compound with your elders, maybe your grandparents or um, your parents, and usually the way that they're talking about it, it's by design, right? Like, hey, let's sit down together. These are the benefits, the science behind it. We didn't get that luxury, right? We're just kids, so we had to live with our parents.
Mhm.
But there was a lot of guidance on their part that really helped us build the relationship that we built, and some of it was through advice, some of it was through reverse advice, right? Like they give you advice that you feel like, well, I don't know if that's going to work for me, right? So you end up not doing it, or you see things that work, or you see things that don't work, right? And then you put that into play. And I think that that's kind of how it clicked for us. At first, we were like, "Oh no, my dad and my mom are right," and she was like, "No, my parents are right." And then there was a lot of conflict there. But with time, we kind of developed our own little system, and we took some of the good things from my parents and some of the good things from her parents, and then created
Whoa.
a system that worked for us. But it really did help, right? If we wanted to go out or if we wanted to do something, her mom was always available to take care of my daughter or our daughter, or my mom was always there to take care of our kids as well, right? So it really helped out with the relationship in that aspect.
And back to
Yeah.
that, that TikTok that you saw, we were just talking
Yeah.
about it,
Uh-huh.
where there's people now, very wealthy people,
Uh-huh.
that's a choice, right?
Yeah.
Us, it was not a choice. You had to. I was talking to Alex about, my grandmother on my mom's side, where we all lived in the same house, all of my mom with her siblings and their spouse and their kids. So we grew up all together in the same space until financially they were able to move out, right? And then you see these people that are, the scientists that we were watching, and
Mm.
they're at the peak, right, of um, their education or whatever it is that they're doing at their
Uh-huh.
life.
Uh-huh.
And now they're trying to do that in reverse to having kids, family, grandkids,
Yeah.
everybody live in the same household, when now it's, because they want to, it's a choice. When for us, it was not, it was actually
A
um, a
necessity.
necessity,
Yeah.
right? So, we always, and I tell Alex,
Grandma was up to, she was she was right, right?
Yeah. So it's just I'm very curious, and I have deep thoughts into these things that I see where people now want to, go to that back that time where it was the things that we had already done,
Yeah,
but it was because of necessity. The other thing we talked about is the kids now young want to go to thrift stores, right?
yeah,
And they are excited about finding these old clothes, torn, used, and shoes that are
yeah.
expensive. And
Reduce
when
the carbon footprint, right? That's what they're saying.
when we were excited, I mean, we did that because I didn't have a choice. So I'd go and buy clothes that was already used and
Yeah,
those kinds of things. And then now it's a thing,
yeah.
right?
So now we can drive a Hummer and fly private because our whole lives we did that, right? So we got some credit on the carbon footprint department.
But so when it comes to all these things and what he's talking about, they all make you the kind of person that you are. And I feel like we were talking about that the relationship for us has worked. Yes, there you create this environment for your kids, upbringing, the way that you were brought up and the way that you were raised will, affect, benefit, or have a lot to do on how you create this relationship with your significant other based on that. I mean, we talked
Right.
about how faith is very important and the
Yeah.
base and the most important, if not, of a
Oh
relationship. And
yeah.
then, we were talking about how previously, my parents, I was raised in a Catholic household, so were you. And then now we have our own thoughts and we've changed to our own faith, but yet we were always brought up with God to be the center of our family.
Have the fear of
And
God, right? Is
yes,
what
and that
we're always talking.
relationship with God, or whatever it is that you have that you believe in, and that's very important too.
Yeah.
And that was brought up, but we were brought up with that already. And then of course, you have your parents giving you all this advice and thinking on how um, you're supposed to behave, how you're supposed to.
Yeah.
There's all these things that you pick up while you're young and being raised that you then bring into your marriage, right?
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think as you get older, when you're young, you don't think about these things, but as you get older, you start wanting to read self-help books and stuff like that, right? So one of the things that I do, I always, like I said, I watch a lot of TikTok and I jump on the trends, right? So there was this trend about um, reading, I don't know, it was like 20 books to make you a better person or whatever, right? And I started reading, I went down the list just as a thing to do. And a lot of the stuff that I was reading, we were already doing, right? And it wasn't done on purpose. I'm sure it really helps if you're young and you read these things and you apply these things into place. It works because that's what we did and it worked out for us. But I think that a lot of it was just based off of be a good person, right? Is what we were taught. Help people out whenever they needed, and everything kind of falls into place, right? So yeah, with that, like reading the self help books and just realizing that hey, what we're doing is actually working out because, I mean, this is just confirmation of it, right?
Right.
And we see that now as adults. Yeah.
And so through the 29 years, obviously, like any relationship, it's a roller coaster, right?
Uh huh.
And as a 14 and 15-year-old, we've talked about it in our previous podcast where
14
we
and 15-year-old, the roller coaster drops are a lot further down, right?
so we had previous podcasts about that part of
Uh
our
huh.
relationship, but obviously, like any relationship, no matter what age you are,
Mm-hmm.
when you get in a relationship, it's going to be difficult. They always
Mm-hmm.
call the first stage, I think, like the honeymoon stage. And
Yeah.
then because that's where it's the stage where you're in love and everything's going great. For us, I mean, we got married because we were pregnant, so it
Mm-hmm.
was different, right? It was. I think that's probably we wouldn't call it the honeymoon though, because I think that
There's
was
no
the
honeymoon.
hardest.
It was
Well, there
backwards,
was
right?
right.
So the honeymoon for us was year number 25, and then we started
Yes.
going on our honeymoons that we never went to. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were so young that we just kind of got married at the backyard of a house that we bought and lived in for a while, and Yeah, we had a backyard wedding. It was us and my cousin Vanessa. It was a double wedding. Actually, she was getting married, and my mom's like, it's my mom's sister's daughter. And I was like, hey, well, they're getting married. These two need to get married. Why don't we just do it together? And my
Right.
aunt was gracious enough to say,
Okay.
yeah, for sure, let's do it, right?
Uh-huh.
And we ended up getting married that way, but we already had our daughter. She was already getting around to being a year old, I think,
Yes.
right?
She was 5 months, 6
Five
months.
months, so she was a baby still. But we had a whole traditional wedding. Viviana got a dress and everything,
And so
and
let's talk a little bit
yeah,
about that. So when we got married, I and I think I shared it in the previous podcast too. I left my home. Alex went to pick me up. And yes, my mom had a BB gun. We talked about that too. And then so I went and lived with him. And this
my
was
by the way, real quick, my mother-in-law came over this week, and she's like, "Hey, what are you talking about me for? Keep me off your podcasts."
and then your dad tells you the same thing.
My
Hey,
dad.
when did I pay you this much?
So
So
they watch these things, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
which I love though, and
Uh-huh.
and this is very nice to have
Mhm.
for my kids and
We,
my granddaughter.
I think we wouldn't have been here 29 years later if it wasn't for my dad, your mom, right? People
Our
like that in our
parents,
lives, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the
Mhm.
wedding, I kind of talked about Gordas, our daughter Viviana, our oldest, 28 years old now, with her hemangioma and being in the hospital. So I left to live with Alex, it was April the 2nd. And so my dad was promised by my husband, 14-year-old husband, boyfriend, that we were going to get married. And so my dad said, she's going to leave and live with you, but if you promise me that you're going to marry her. Because this is my daughter, and their belief was always that you get pregnant, you get married, right? And so
Mhm.
we left, and that was my date of April 2nd of moving in with Alex. So
So that wasn't our wedding day, but she moved into the house at April 2nd.
yes, because we didn't get married, and it
Just
was not
saying.
even just like okay, there's a wedding happening, let's you join them and get married. But between that time until we got married, my oldest daughter was in the hospital. And so while we were in the hospital in San Antonio, we're from Laredo in San Antonio, um, we came back to a wedding in November.
We got married November the 21st. It was supposed to be November the 14th, and it was too cold outside, so we postponed it a week to November the 21st.
Yes. And so it was the backyard wedding. We got back the week before with my daughter, or a few days before with my daughter from the hospital, and straight to getting married. My dad got me the dress. We went to Mexico across
We bought the
Nuevo
dress in
Laredo.
Mexico. Uh-huh.
And then, my mother in law
It was a
got,
regular white dress, guys. It wasn't like a Mexican charro dress or anything
I
like
think it
that.
was like a beige white
We have a
pearl.
picture. We'll put it up so you can see it.
And so, it was a gathering in the
Mhm.
backyard. We got married. And I don't know if we've talked about it before, but my mom did not go. My
Yeah.
mom did
She
not
missed the
agree.
first one.
She did not agree with getting married.
She tried to shoot me, so she really didn't like me. And that was just 5 months later. She was still not there yet. I'm her favorite now, by the way, but
Right, right. Which we asked her before she left this past weekend. But
sorry, Pedro.
and then after that, we did have our wedding, backyard wedding, and he's right. That house where it took place later in the future, when we
That's
started
where the
working
twins
in
were born.
professionals, we lived in that house.
Yeah, we bought it and
And
lived there
so,
for a while.
yes, but then my mom was not part of that. It was a very emotional day for me because I did not have my mother.
Yeah.
And 25 years later, on my 25th anniversary, we renewed our vows. We had our wedding, and I had
On April the 2nd.
on April the 2nd. And it was just like the perfect day because it was a weekend. It was like the day of my anniversary.
Uh-huh.
And so my mom was there, my dad was there, and I renewed my vows, and we got remarried on our 25th anniversary, which I'm very grateful for. But
And then we went on honeymoon
our
to Hawaii.
first
Our first
honeymoon
honeymoon.
After our 25th anniversary, we've been traveling, and that is has been our gift to each other as an anniversary gift.
Every
And
year.
so that's when we kind of started living in reverse.
Yeah, we had our honeymoon, and then the kids went off to college, so we became empty nesters, lived by ourselves, lived the single life. We moved to Rainy Street because we were planning to go out every day from Thursday to Sunday. Never do that.
Yeah, we don't. We did at the beginning
Yeah,
when we moved, and then we do for food though.
we go out for food every day. We enjoy our walks. That's our favorite thing to do. We
Coffee
love
and walks.
coffee, and there's coffee shops everywhere. We don't like coffee better than the one that we have at our house, but because our coffee is really good. But yeah, it's so we're kind of living the single life now, and we're continuing in that trajectory. We plan to retire at the age of 52, right, and then travel a little bit more. So it's just things that we're kind of heading to, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So that was like the first part of it, us, getting married, and then the parenting part.
right.
Um, that was probably one of the biggest, um, most difficult. And by the way, there is no perfect parents. There is no such thing as, uh,
Except for my mom.
yeah, Alex always says that when we bring this up. And it's like very difficult to be a parent. And you've probably seen those, that movie, what is it? No Instructions, by Eugenio
Instructions not
Derbez.
included.
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
Henio Derbez.
yes, it's like,
Exactly that way.
yes, you don't know until you become a parent. And
You don't know that there is nothing in this world that you won't do for your kids once you become a parent. And nobody prepares you for it. Nobody tells you, hey, you're all of a sudden going to change and be this different person. But it happens, right? Which is pretty neat. I've had conversations with friends of ours that want to have kids, and they're like, "Hey, you've been a parent for so long. Do you think it's a good idea?" And I tell them it's a horrible idea. If you sit here and you think about it, you put it down in paper, right? Your life is gone. There's not going to be any time for you. The kids, everything is going to be kid related, right? All your vacations, your outings, going to the movies, restaurants, everything is kid related. But it's the best thing that'll ever happen to you,
and
right?
it's so crazy
The
because it's
moment that
true.
they're born, you see them and just everything goes away. You don't care about anything else in this world other than to take care of your kids.
True, true. And so parenting is probably, like I said, one of the most difficult parts or stage in a marriage,
Mhm.
to go through, because
Yeah.
it is when your significant other will become part of,
Hmm.
especially the mom,
Right.
just, making sure to take care of the baby, the kids, and not, trying to make time for
Hmm.
your spouse at the same time, make
That's
time
the
for
difficult part.
yourself, make
Yeah.
time for your kids. It is probably one of the hardest stages of a marriage.
One of the things that we hear in our culture a lot is when um, this never happened to us, thank God, right? But we hear this a lot where people say, "Hey, growing up, I always noticed that my mom was never hungry, right? Like she would never eat. We would all eat, we'd eat seconds and everything, and my mom would never be hungry. And it wasn't that your mom wasn't hungry, it's that your mom wasn't eating so that you could eat more, right? No, nobody tells you that. Nobody, ever kind of agrees to that. Nobody says until you're graduating from high school or somewhat of an adult, and then you realize, like, oh man, my mom was sacrificing this whole time, right?
Right,
Which is a
right.
beautiful thing, right? And we hear that a lot.
And it's different things like
Yeah.
that as a parent, you are trying to
Mhm.
be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
And now, us as, yes, parents and grandparents now, we try to remind our kids, right? If you think that you are doing the best that you can with your baby,
Yeah.
then that's what you're doing. Think of
And
these
that's,
things
yeah.
and
And
focus on that.
and that's where the parenting never finishes, right? Because your kids are going to become adults, and now you need to guide them in that direction. But there's stages for everything, and you need to go through all the stages, right? Like, don't be your kid's friend when your kid is in middle school, right? Like that's not the appropriate time for you to be their friends because they're going in separate directions. You have to make sure that you
Your parent.
somewhat do some damage control and parent and make sure that they don't get into things that they can't get out of, right? That's one thing that we always talk about being Hispanic or being a minority. There's different consequences, unfortunately, as a minority than there would be as not being a minority, right? So
Right.
we tell that to our kids all the time, and it also helps, right, to try to make sure that our kids are good people, right?
Hmm.
But we tell them all the time, like, hey, you can if if you are in a place where you start doing drugs and we can't afford for you to go to rehab or something like that, that's just going to be your new norm. It's going to be really hard to get out of that. We see it time and time again where people get hooked on drugs and then there's nothing that their parents can do about it because they have no means to help them and stuff like that. So kind of think about that before you do something like that.
Right.
If you're a wealthy person, you get in trouble like that, you're going to get unlimited chances, man. Like they'll take you to rehab and then from rehab you'll change your life and then that would be something you can talk about like, "Oh, I did this earlier in my life." In our culture, if you do that, you hide it and you suppress it. If you somehow get out of it and become a better person and get a career, you never talk about that, right? Because it's not something that you want to bring up. But
Right.
it's just a cultural thing, right?
Yeah. And
So that's important that you kind of bring that up and that time
that
period that
stage.
you're a parent, a strict parent. My favorite time period with my son, because I was always, trying to educate my son and stay on top of him, make sure he was doing the right thing, and he was never doing the right thing in my eyes. But my favorite time is now, when he became an
An
adult. I
adult.
think his junior year in high school, I realized like, man, if I keep being a tyrant with him, he's gonna graduate high school next year and never come back and never come and see me, right? And that's the last thing that you want. So then we kind of progressed to having a relationship where now I'm talking to you. I'm not telling you you're gonna do this because I said so. Now it's like, okay, look, you can do this, but these are the consequences that go with it. And I'm not gonna tell you not to do it, but if you do it, this is what can happen. And at first, he would still go do the things that he wasn't supposed to. And then eventually, he would be like, you know what, my dad's right. Maybe I should be doing this.
Right.
Right. And he became less rebellious. And now we have a really good relationship. We do still, we call it being passionate, right?
Oh
We
yeah,
have,
that's our word.
yeah,
And if they're listening, they know what we're talking about because we have
we scream
our
a lot.
we have our talks.
Yeah.
Okay, you scream a lot,
Uh,
but we have our talks, and again, because now that he's a parent, we continue to parent. You never stop
yeah.
parenting, right? And that's just human nature. You
Yeah.
want to tell them of what we've already gone through, the what we've learned from our mistakes so that they don't, right, make the same mistakes. But we also know that throughout the time that we've been parenting our kids, that we need to let them make their own mistakes, right? So that's when we get very passionate. And when we say passionate is we have disagreements between our kids, our family, when we sit down and talk about all these things. And some of them are like him,
Right.
very passionate. So we
The
have,
kids are very passionate too, right?
yes,
So we
which
have these
which
heated
we,
conversations. Yeah.
yes, yes. And so having now our adult kids be passionate about the different things going on in our life, after,
Yeah.
yeah, we remind them. Remember that no matter if we agree to
Every time.
disagree here,
Uh huh.
and that we're very passionate about what we're talking about, at the end of the day, we know that everybody sitting here, we are trying to do the things that we do for the best of all of us. So remember that.
Yeah. The conversation starts here and then you can hear the little bit of frustration in the voice, and then all of a sudden it's over here. But we always make sure
I
that the
think I'm always a
conversation,
referee.
yeah,
I think I'm
she
always like that.
referees, and then we
Okay,
always make
guys,
sure that
coffee.
the
Okay,
conversation ends
guys, what
here.
are we doing? Are we? Let's
We don't
eat.
we don't say, okay, guys, coffee, and let's forget about that.
No, no,
We
no.
make sure that we talk each other back down. We say we
Okay,
love each other, and then
here we go again.
we move on to the next topic, and
Yeah,
then it starts here. Sometimes it goes here again, and then we end up right here. So we always end it on a good note, which is really important, right? You never want to barge out of a room and be upset with each other and not feel like, hey, I need to say sorry or I need to kind of explain myself of why I'm getting like this, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I do need to sometimes we do need to each other, me and my son, we need to like tell each other, look, how would you feel if I were to do this, or how would I feel if you were to do this, right?
And
And then we
with
kind of come to an understanding.
right. And
Yeah.
I think it's also because it's our son,
But
right?
that's the
We
relationship now that we're friends now, right?
right.
We're friends, we're equals. I'm a little bit higher than him always, right? But we're kind of equals. And I ask for his opinion. I give him my opinions on things. And sometimes he takes them and sometimes he doesn't. We tell them
Mhm.
that all the time. We always finish the conversation with that. Look, we're
It's up
giving
to
you this
you.
advice. It's your family. You get to decide what you're going to do about this or not. But I just want you to know that as a friend, I couldn't go through life knowing that I could have told you something that would have helped you and not do it, right? Because there's going to be people out there that are going to be your cheerleaders and say they're going to be yes people. They're just going to be agreeing with you all the time. We're not those people. We're going to tell you, and we expect that from you as well, right? If you see that I'm doing something wrong, you need to tell me what I'm doing wrong
Call
so
us
that
out on the things
exactly right.
because you matter. You matter to us, is what we tell our kids.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to be honest with each other. So if I tell you that that shirt doesn't look good on you, it's not because I'm a hater
Or
or
being
because
mean.
I'm being mean.
Yeah.
It's because I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a silly example, but that's for everything else that happens within our family's conversations. This is where you're going to come and be honest
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to choose what to do, right? But these are the things that we're going to tell you and
Well,
just
yeah, what we say is you're going to have all the information to make that informed decision, right?
mhm,
We're not going to let you go into something and thinking after you did it, oh, it's because I didn't know that.
right,
Right.
right.
You knew
And
about it. You knew everything that you were doing. You make a decision based off of whatever you
this
want with this
goes
information.
as well for our girls,
Yeah.
but with the girls it's a little different. Alex is always very has always been since they were little um showing affection, making sure that they know that they're the girls,
The most
the
gorgeous person
queens,
in
the
the world.
princess, everything. And then Alejandra, my one of our daughter's twins, she'll, look at her previous pictures and say, "Dad, I
The hell,
remember
Dad?
you told me this picture that I was the most beautiful girl," and you would say, "Oh, you're so pretty, Mama, and you're so pretty." And she looks back to that picture and tells Alex, "Dad, I was fat and ugly. Why were you telling me all these things? You weren't being honest."
She wasn't fat and ugly, but
And
yeah.
yeah, those are the kind of things
That's
that
what
we
she
go back.
says.
Alex is very you know flowers and it holidays, just very, we did a lot of mom and son and dad and daughter dates throughout them growing up, and just building that relationship as parents. And
One year, I can't remember if it was I can't remember if it was a Valentine's or an anniversary, but the kids were little, so we couldn't go out. Right, we lived in Austin. Back home in Laredo, you could go wherever you want because you have all the family everywhere, so they can take care of your kids. But here, we didn't have that. So Viviana was on a prep. Right, you were training for something, so we made I don't know like grilled chicken and plain brown
for
rice,
Valentine's, it was the ground turkey
grand
with
turkey.
white jasmine
And
rice,
then I dressed
steamed rice.
Alejandro in a little tuxedo, and he was a waiter. And Alejandra put on her hat. Okay. Are we double booked? Did you
No,
book us for 30 minutes? Right?
no, it's still, we still have 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. So 10:30, 11:30. Oh, okay. All right.
So okay, let's see.
Uh,
Do we need to stop it and start it, or
no, they'll reset it.
okay? Okay, so we were talking about the
Tell me, and I'll
father
restart again. Oh yeah. So
father daughter dates, and you took and then
I
for
got it. Yeah.
Valentine's.
So um we didn't have anybody to take care of the kids, so we ended up doing a little dinner, and I had Alejandro dressed up in a tuxedo, and Alejandra dressed. She put on her chef's hat, and she was the chef. And then we dimmed the lights and turned on some candles, and we had a Thanksgiving or not Thanksgiving, a
Valentine's.
val- a Valentine's Day dinner with the kids involved in this whole thing. And the girls always, that's one of the things that I'm really um, uh, aware of, right? Is how you want your daughters to be treated is how you treat your wife, right? So I buy flowers for Viviana all the time. I take her out. I make sure that I tell her that I love her in front of the girls as well, right? And I do mean it. I'm not just doing it for the girls, but they know what a man is supposed how a man is supposed to treat a woman, right, in their relationship as well, right? Which is
Mm.
I think is really important.
Right. And so, like I said, parenting is probably the hardest stage when they're growing up. You want to be this perfect parent. And once you realize that that's not the case, that there isn't a perfect parent, I don't want to say that you feel better, but stopping and I'm saying this because I was a stay-home mom and for an extended years while the kids were growing up because we previously we mentioned on the podcast that I tried, I had my dance studios. I had two dance studios, very successful. I was the dance instructor, I was the parades doing pageant productions. That's what I was doing. That I went to school for fine arts. That was my thing before nursing. So it was when I had my twins that I had to choose, you know, whether if I continued or not. And at the same time, we had this move to Austin for my oldest daughter to attend Texas School for the Deaf. And so there was a very, like, many times, it was hard times with parenting.
Yeah.
But this was when we had the move, and I had to say, okay, I need to focus on being the parent and making sure that, you know, mom takes care of me, takes care of my kids.
Yeah.
And so there is going to be sometimes in your life where you are going to feel that you just like underwater and you just keep swimming. And it's the
Viviana
other
doesn't know how to swim, by the way.
right. And so with your spouse support, it is absolutely necessary to
Yeah.
continue to go because I was at that time, I already had Vivianita. We were 21 years old, so around 22, we already had three kids, our twins and our oldest
At
daughter.
the age of 22.
And it was so crazy because you have the baby stage and then you have a 7-year old.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the toddler and then, the tens. And then you move on to the back to the kids age where there's all these projects, all these things going on in school. And then I had a teenager. That was the worst, by the way. And so it is ongoing, and you have to have that support from your husband and each other to make sure that you do decisions that are based on what you think at that point are best for them because it will affect them in the future and while they're doing their kid stage. So you are going to do the best that you can with what you have at the time, just like our parents did.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you the perfect parent for that child.
And I think that that's, life just kind of tells you what to do as well, right? Because I mean, it was kind of a bad idea to close your businesses when we did, right?
Mhm.
We the majority of our finances were coming from those businesses. But I think, going back to our religion and what we believe in, that's a rock in our relationship, right? So to somebody, it would make no sense that you would close your businesses down to take care of your kids. Probably the right thing to do would be for me to quit my job and take care of the kids, and you keep the businesses. But you, as a person, and with the
Oh,
religion that you have and your upbringing and your morals, you said, you know what, I need to be a mom, right? And it was said out loud a couple of times, like the kids need you, and we we're still kind of in that trajectory. Like, yeah, they need somebody, but financially, we're going in the right direction with the business that we have and everything. So it's not a good idea until the one day, right, when we were the kid Viviana was leaving to go do an event or something, and the kids were by the window crying at
Alejandro.
Viviana, and Viviana looked back and said today is the day that I stopped doing this, right?
Hmm.
And you
And
decided to stay with the kids for the next, we said 5 years, and I think it turned to
7.
7. Yeah.
Hmm. And then I started working at the school that they went at,
Yeah.
volunteering and
And it,
things.
and in hindsight, like it was probably the wrong decision financially, but for you to, as a mom, and to take care of the kids and the benefits that the kids got from you not working, it was the exact thing that you were supposed to do.
Right.
Right.
And if we look back now, my kids don't remember what kind of home we had. You've probably heard this many times. The kids don't remember the fancy whatever we got for them. Uh, they remember things where mom was at muffins with mom
Uh
at
huh.
school. They remember dad outside, with them doing a certain thing. They remember, that's what they remember. That's what they remember. If you ask them now, they have no clue on the kind of car that we were driving at that time
And
or anything.
I think that goes back to us too, right? Like when we were growing up, um, we we grew up with not a lot of resources, and we had a great childhood
And
upbringing,
and
right?
we again, because we're reminiscing on these 29
Uh-huh.
years, we talk about this and I tell Alex, if we talk about my childhood, like when we talk about it was great.
Yeah.
But yet somebody else might tell you that was
Different.
horrible,
Yeah,
right?
like if you put it on paper, it's like, wait, what? You did
Yeah,
what?
when we tell people that, we grew up with having to go outside
We had outhouses
outhouse.
growing up
Yeah.
for a little
And
bit,
like,
but we
what?
had outhouses,
Well,
right?
I not for a little bit for me, but
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
that tells you how it's different and it's changed and I get it. But at the end of the day, it's always, and I keep telling my kids, it's gonna be your choice.
Yeah.
It's always gonna be, but just remember, whatever it is that you choose, is this choice that you're making the best that you could do with what you have at that time?
Yeah.
And if that's it, then go for
Go
it,
for it.
right?
And it doesn't hurt to try either, right? Like we tried
And fail. Yeah, try.
we tried, keeping the businesses while we had three little kids at home, and we tried hiring people and everything. It just didn't work out. And
Right.
it's okay to
We
try.
we gave it a try.
And it's okay to fail and then learn from it,
Right,
right?
right.
And
And move
move
on.
on. Yeah.
Right. And so parenting is one of the episodes that we're going to be doing by itself because it is a lot.
Yeah.
And just kind of like how we went through it, what we went through it, because again, we're not different from any other parent. I'm not going to say I'm a horrible parent, but we were pretty bad. I mean, we had a lot of things that we look back and think like, why would we have Alejandro in the car without a car seat? Why did we have Alejandra put a rock up her nose? Like all these things that happened, and
Yeah.
that were
Why would I
like,
pick up a stray uh bull terrier that we never knew about and then he bit Alejandro in the face? Right.
those are serious things that happen, and you look
Yeah.
at us and think like, oh my God, your kids
So
are
put
great,
together.
and so, but no, not really. So
Well,
it happens.
kids turned out okay, but there was a couple of
A lot of
hurdles
things, yes.
throughout our
So
life.
those are kind of like the things when it comes to parenting. And then, you have then your in laws, right? Where us, his parents, my parents, get very involved when you're 14 and 15 or when you're teenagers or in your 20s because you're so young. You need not only financial support as you're graduating high school or going to college, but also their experiences, right?
Yeah.
And so the same thing happened to us through even now throughout the 29 years. We still continue to learn from them. We
Yeah.
still continue to get guidance. That never stops. And we do the same thing, with our kids. But again, you always do what we've always done. You listen and you say, remember, those are different times. It was a different culture. So learn from what they tell you and their guidance, but also take what's good for your relationship and don't what is not at the time, right? But always with respect, you listen, you say, okay, to my mom, to your mom, and you listen to what they have to tell you. And then you make a choice as a partnership on what you choose to take with you into your relationship, right?
And that's something that we teach the kids all the time, right? Is doesn't matter who it is, you always listen to people talk because the best ideas can come from the worst places sometimes. There might be somebody that is a horrible human being, but he has one good idea. And if you sit there and listen to him and you take 99% of the stuff that they say and you set it aside, you take the one good thing that they said and you take it for face value. That's what you're supposed to do. You're never going to be the person that says, this person, anything that this person says, I'm going to do because this person said it, right? Even
Yeah.
if it's somebody that you agree with, they might not have all the good ideas. So you always listen and you make informed decisions based off of the information you get from people.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
another one that we're talking about, the in-laws, another podcast, and of course the grandparent
Yeah.
stage now where we're at, where we absolutely
It's the
love,
best stage of
enjoy,
life.
and we are so grateful that my son and my daughter-in-law keeps us, involved in Jimena's life, because I know that when I was, again, 15 and 14 years old, and we had my our first child, it was different. And it was like, okay, I don't want her to be with them, I want her to be with mine, and I want, this thing. It's just very different culture. It's different now with
Mhm.
Jimena, and so we try to remember these things so that we can use now as we try to be involved as grandparents in part of our grandbaby and our son, and just our daughter-in-law being so welcoming to us and allowing us to be part of Jimena's life. Because of
Yeah.
course we have, again, we're passionate people and we have disagreements. And so we do, when Jimena comes, we do certain things that probably at home are not being done. And my son will come and say, Mom, she can't eat this, she can't do that. And yes, mijito, that's at your house. When she comes here, this is different,
This
right?
is Jimena's
This is
kingdom.
Jimena's kingdom. So, those kinds of things. But yeah, so we have like these different episodes that we plan to do. But as we are sitting here and reminiscing on our 29 years, we talk
It's been
about this on
great.
our coffee chats every day, our walks, and we think how blessed we have been. And none of it was planned. We always say that our life is all God's plan,
God's plan.
because if you knew all the things that we have gone through and how our life has changed for the best, has all been through the grace of God.
Yeah. And if you were to ask little Viviana at the age of 10, do you know that you're going to be a nurse when you grow up?
Never. It was
Never.
never.
Yeah.
And never did I think I was going to move from my hometown either.
Uh huh.
And of course, never did I thought I was going to travel, and look at us now.
Yeah.
Like, it has just been 29 years of growing with Alex, has been, I mean, I don't know, just amazing.
An adventure.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Been great.
And and I say growing up because we were kids. We were kids and we learned from each other. We learned so much, just life in general, growing up together. High school, he was in middle school and then high school, and then college and kids, and all these things that we've gone through, we've learned together. We got what was it, babe, that we did our first tattoo when our, what is it, our 20th anniversary?
20th
I
anniversary.
think so. And
Yeah.
then
My mom was really mad.
we went to our 21st, and then we went to our first club at 21, like drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And
We
those
got crazy at 21.
experiences that we
Uh,
did together, that we have gone through so much together in the 29 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we would have wanted any other way.
I plan to live until I'm 94.
He has a plan.
Probably you too, hopefully, right? 94. So that means we still have 52 more years of marriage
Imagine that.
until we get to 94. Maybe we'll reach to be 100. I don't know. But
I don't know.
imagine 52 more years. We've been married for 29 years.
And so
How
today
cool is that?
we were
That'd be
talking.
81 more years. 81 years total of marriage. I think that might be a record. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But the other thing that we were, reminiscing on, and we said, because we got married so young, we might be able to see, like now our kids
Oh yeah.
and then our grandbaby now, Jimena, and maybe Jimena's kids, so great
Might have
grandkids.
great grandkids.
And
Great
so
grandkids, yeah.
if, the other thing we talked about is that in the future, there's going to be some people that are going to be at the table talking about
Our
people that are
kids.
talking that you don't even know,
Yeah.
that they don't even know you.
Yeah.
What was it that we heard?
Yeah, we heard a really interesting quote on online, and they were talking about how in the far future, your kids are going to be sitting at a table with people that you don't even know, in a table that you didn't set, and they're going to sit there and talk about their home when they were kids. And they're not going to be detailed. They're just going to talk about how it felt growing up. And there's nothing that you can do about what they say, but all you can do is continue to show up, continue to set the table at home, continue to pray with them, continue to just, show them a good example. And then, but yeah, they're going to be talking about things like the way that we're talking right now, but with other people, right? With strangers and stuff.
Yeah,
I
and
think that's a
so
pretty cool concept. So hopefully they have good things to say about how they were raised and their
when we're
upbringing.
gone from this earth, this world,
Mhm.
and Jimena's kids and the kids of Jimena talk about their great grandparents and they're sitting at the table
Yeah.
talking about, what they went through in their childhood. We hope and we pray that it's all good and they have good memories of us.
Yeah.
And so for our 29th anniversary, this trip that we plan to do is coming up in a few weeks. And where are we going, Alex?
We're going to Peru.
Yes, to
We're
Peru.
going to go see one of the seven wonders of the world. We're going to go to Machu Picchu in Peru, in Cusco. So
And
that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be there for 2 weeks.
so we'll see how Alex does. We did a little short video where we went hiking and we're trying to, have some endurance, but we know that it also the altitude there is, you know,
Crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. In addition to all these other activities that Alex has planned for us,
It's
but
going to
I
be
think it's going to be
nice.
fun. And like we said, from the 25th and this way, the years for our anniversary, that's what we have been, gifting each other as an anniversary gift.
And we don't, again, not doing it on purpose, but I think that setting up these trips, our anniversary trips, is great. Once a year, we get to, you get really busy with work, and as you get older, your jobs get a little bit more and more serious. You're in charge of more and more people, and you're in charge of more and more things. So it's kind of taxing on you, but you get to a point where what we're doing now is we get to a point on our anniversary, around the anniversary time, we go out and renew our vows and spend time with just each other for 2 weeks, live new experiences, and we come out more in love than what we go in. And then throughout the year, we have it's like a renewed time. We have a whole year's worth of memories. They keep popping up on our phones, on the pictures that we took and the experiences that we lived. We were just doing that this morning, right? You wake up, you start scrolling through your pictures on your phone, and oh, remember when we did this? Oh, Italy, remember we did that? Oh, remember when we went to Hawaii, to
Right.
India, all these
Hmm.
different places, and it's great. I know we talked about this before, but there was this podcast where Michelle Obama's talking about how a lot of people don't hold on to the good part, right? A lot of people will get married, and then the first sign of something bad happening, you pick up and run, and you miss out on all of the benefits of being married for a long time and going through things with your significant other, that people miss out on this stuff. This is what they're talking about, right? You send your kids off to school, you spend more time with your wife, and create more create a stronger relationship and create more memories and stuff like that, right? So
So as we reminisce on our 29 years,
yeah.
Alex, I would say, or at least for me, and you can say yours, but
Mhm.
I think for us, it's been a blessing to be parents, even if it's at starting as teenagers. But parenting was one of the most amazing experiences for me. um, our relationship, our marriage, bumps and everything. I, we couldn't do it without each other.
Right.
And then now grandparents.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same thing. I am very grateful to God that I found you at such an early age. Or people always, when they find their soulmate, right? They say, "Oh man, I wish I could have found you sooner." And I don't think I could have found you any sooner than than when I found you. And I'm very thankful that we've been together since we were 14 and 15, right? And hopefully be together for until we're 94, which is my plan, right?
And I know they say that, it's best to wait when you're older, but really, nobody can tell you. There's no perfect age,
Yeah.
there's no perfect timing.
Mhm.
I just, there, I wish that it would be so we can tell everybody, how, what's the perfect age, what's the perfect thing to do
Right.
for marriage to work. It just worked out for us.
Yeah.
And we're very, very grateful. And I think that if we continue to let God guide our marriage, I think that everything will be
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. One of our trips that we took to India, they believe in reincarnation, right? And recently I was watching TikTok, right? And Jonah, one of the Jonas brothers, married his wife, and they were talking about that, about how you reincarnate and you come back and you find the person that you love every time. And he said that he felt like this was probably the fourth time that they've
okay.
found each other, because it's so easy, right? It's so like you are immediately attracted to each other. Me and Viviana were boyfriend and girlfriend for a summer before we got married, right? So I kind of feel that way. It always felt right. Like this is probably the seventh time for us, because it
Right.
it happened at the age of 14, and we're still together, and I wouldn't see it any other way. People talk about having other friends outside of your relationship. We're kind of loners together, right? We're each other's best friends, and we truly enjoy our time together. Sometimes it gets in the way of, I want to do some projects, but I don't want to be without Viviana, right?
Right.
So
And it sounds
we
silly, but
find
it's
things.
true. It's true
So
that
just this week, right? Like just this week, we've been trying. We have multiple cars, and I was like, all right, this week we're gonna drive in separate cars so that way I can go do this thing after work. And then we were walking to the car with separate keys in hand, and we get to the parking garage. It's like, let's just drive together. Let's
right.
just do it. So we can have that extra 15 minutes of talking to each other. Right.
And just know that wherever you're at in your relationship, one, like I said, the most important thing is to have God in your
Very
relationship.
important.
But I mean, life just takes you places that you just never knew you were going to. I mean, Alex was a painter. I was a dancer. I opened my dance studio. Alex did his businesses. I opened my business. We recently just started a coffee brand. We have all these things that we've done together that we've never thought. I mean, we're nurses. Who thought we were going to be nurses,
Both of
Alex?
us, right?
And now our
And that was all
kids
by
and
accident
our
too,
kids. And
right? It was
oh
like
my
divine.
God,
It
it's
was
just,
divine intervention.
I am just, looking back and thinking how all of this happened. It's just so crazy to us, but we're so grateful for it
Yeah.
all. So hopefully, we get to break down our episodes and Alex will be okay with letting go of his project to come and do a
Right.
podcast with me and go and break it down into a podcast for parenting, a podcast for the in-laws and grandparents, so we can kind of share how we've been doing that and how it's worked out for us. And again, there is no specific way, or there isn't a perfect way, but there is ways to where it's worked for us, because I think of the way that we've been able to
Yeah.
manage our relationship with our family, with our kids, and now our grandbaby.
And sometimes you see one of your kids, well, not our kids, because we would say something right away, but see a family member or a nephew or something, and you say like, "Oh man, I wish I could just go sit down and talk to him because I could tell him what to do, and this would fix that issue," right? But you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to impose yourself in somebody else's family. But I think that's why these things are good, because we're sitting here really recording all of this so that our kids can go back and sit there and watch these conversations that we had and have proof, or records of it, so they can go back. It's kind of like a photo album for our kids. But if anybody else, it's out there online. If anybody else can sit there and watch one of these and say, "Oh, I'm going through that. Maybe I could apply this and it works out for you." Great.
Mm.
But we're not trying to say, "Oh, we're therapist over here," or people should do it exactly the way we did it. I mean, look at your 14-year-old daughter or son and say, "You think this person could get married right now and have a
Absolutely
success
not. I would never want my kids to
have
get
a
married at
successful
14, right?
relationship?" Never.
That's not what we're doing
That's
here.
not what we're doing. We're just talking, having
And
these
our purpose from the
conversations.
very
Yeah.
beginning is for our kids to watch them, for
Yeah.
our kids to have this there, for
Yeah.
my grandbaby to have it there. Because we know the internet, once you put it on the internet, it never
Never
goes.
goes away.
Never goes
You
away.
know, and that's one thing. Like, I'm sure Jimena's not going to sit here and watch us talk, but Viviana has other things that she posts on YouTube, like our trip to Disney, and our granddaughter can sit there and watch that for hours,
She'll watch it over and over again.
over and over and
And
over
you know,
again.
when she's old enough, I'm
Uh-huh.
going to show her the YouTube videos of her dad dancing as Justin Bieber
Yeah.
and him in a talent show.
Thank God there was no internet when we were kids, huh?
Yeah, otherwise that would have been fun. But anyway, I think that 29 years sitting here with Alex talking, it's easy to do it now.
Yeah.
If we were to be sitting here celebrating, I don't know, our 5th anniversary, it would have
Right.
been some
Would've
different
been different.
conversation.
Yeah.
At 10, at 15.
5th year anniversary, our daughter was 5. 7th year anniversary, our
Should we say it gets
had
easier?
kids.
I don't know if it gets easier. It's different, right?
It's a different set of problems that you're dealing with.
Every stage.
We were talking about this with our nephew a little while ago, where we were talking about the importance of having a strong
Foundation.
relationship with God, right? Because these problems never stop coming, right? Like, they sprout out at different times of your life. And I think that we've been able to get through these things because we have that strong relationship with God. When you get to a point, whenever it's like, "Oh man, I can't handle this problem anymore," you just give it to God and you sit down and you pray. And then you wake up the next day and you take it one day at a time, and then you get through it, right?
Mhm.
You can always get through everything. And it's really a lot easier when you have somebody, with you, your wife or your partner, that will help you get through these things, and you have the same basis in this relationship, right? You're always able to get through the hard times because you have that strong relationship with God.
Right, right. But I think that we always run out of time because we want to keep talking because there's so much to
Yeah.
talk about. But again, it's not easier. It's just a different stage in life,
Yeah.
and might as well, while you're in it, enjoy it,
Yeah.
and remember that it is a blessing, whatever it is that you're at the moment. And this time, if you are with a baby, a tiny baby that you just had, enjoy that baby, even if it cries every 32 hours. If it's toddler, if it's a teenager, that's what I said is kind of like the hardest. I don't want to say
Enjoy
the
your
worst,
teenage.
but enjoy it, because the time will come where that is gone.
Yeah.
And so every stage has, the time to enjoy. So wherever you're at in your stage of life, whether it is in your marriage, enjoy it, and just
Enjoy it.
understand that it is a blessing, and that be grateful every day. Live your life with a grateful heart so that you can see the good in everything that comes.
Of course.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time.